It was supposed to be just another warm Saturday afternoon in the city, a day when fathers took their kids to the park, strangers smiled politely at each other, and nothing extraordinary was expected to happen. But sometimes life hides its biggest miracles inside the most unexpected moments, and that's exactly what happened when a billionaire Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, known for his unmatched skills and ruthless business acumen, decided to challenge a complete stranger for fun. Little did he know that stranger, a quiet single dad, would end up saving his most precious treasure, his daughter. The story begins in a busy park by the river. Children's laughter mixed with the sounds of waves slapping against the shore. A few parents gathered on the benches, chatting lazily while keeping one eye on their kids. Among them was Daniel, a single father in his early 30s, wearing a worn-out hoodie and jeans, his gaze focused on his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. She was his entire world. His reason to wake up every morning. Life had been tough since his wife passed away 2 years ago, and every day was a balancing act between work, parenting, and the loneliness that crept in at night. Across the park, another figure stood out. Dressed in designer sportswear, tall and confident, was Victor Almeida, a tycoon worth billions, feared in the boardroom and respected on the mat. He had built his empire from scratch, but his real passion was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. For him, testing his skill against others wasn't just sport, it was an obsession. He spotted Daniel standing alone, and for some reason, maybe the way the man carried himself, maybe just boredom, Victor walked over with a playful grin. "Hey, you train?" Victor asked casually. Daniel raised an eyebrow, caught off guard. "Not really anymore," he replied. "Come on," Victor smirked. "Spar with me. Just for fun. There's a mat set up over there for a charity event. I promise I'll go easy on you." Daniel hesitated. He hadn't stepped on a mat in years, not since his younger days when martial arts were his escape from a broken home. But Lily's curious eyes were on him, and something inside told him to accept. "All right," he said quietly. The match began lighthearted, with Victor testing Daniel's reflexes. But soon, Victor realized Daniel wasn't just some random dad, his movements were sharp, precise, efficient. It wasn't about strength, it was about control. Within minutes, Daniel had Victor in a clean submission hold. Laughter broke out among the small crowd that had gathered, and Victor, surprised but impressed, shook Daniel's hand warmly. "You're good," Victor admitted. "Ever think of teaching again?" Daniel chuckled. "Not really. Just focused on raising my daughter." They parted ways with mutual respect, and that could have been the end of it, just a strange, random encounter in the park. But life had other plans. An hour later, chaos erupted. Lily, chasing after her kite, wandered too close to the riverbank. The current was strong, and before anyone could react, she slipped and fell into the water. Daniel's heart stopped. He sprinted forward, but the slope was muddy and steep. People shouted, panicked, unsure what to do. Victor, hearing the commotion from across the park, rushed over. When he saw the little girl struggling against the current, something inside him snapped. Without a second thought, he dove into the water. But the current was fiercer than it looked, pulling them both downstream. Daniel didn't hesitate, he jumped in after them, his years of training giving him an edge against the churning waves. In those terrifying seconds, the match they had earlier suddenly made sense. Daniel's grip on Victor's arm was unshakable, his movements calculated. Together, they formed a chain, Victor holding Lily, Daniel anchoring them both until a couple of bystanders pulled them out. Lily clung to her father, sobbing, while Victor caught his breath nearby. He was shaking, not from cold, but from the realization of how close he'd come to losing his own child. That's when it hit Daniel, Victor's little girl had been at the park too. In the chaos, she had been whisked away by a nanny, but if it had been her in the water instead of Lily, the thought was unbearable. Victor looked at Daniel with new eyes. "You saved her," he said, his voice rough. Daniel shook his head. "You saved her too. We just did it together." From that day forward, their lives intertwined in ways neither expected. Victor insisted on helping Daniel, not out of pity, but out of genuine respect and gratitude. He offered Daniel a position running a new martial arts program for underprivileged kids, a place where fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, could train not just their bodies, but their discipline and courage. Daniel accepted, knowing it wasn't just a job, it was a chance to pass on the very skills that had saved his daughter's life. Months later, the park was alive again, this time with mats laid out and kids in crisp white uniforms practicing drills. Lily sat proudly watching her father teach, while Victor's daughter laughed nearby, safe and sound. The two men, so different in background, yet bound by a